Alright, part 2 of my beat 'em up review. Let's start looking at the series of Dead or Alive games, shall we? But I thought I'd have a quick look at the film first, because you know most beat 'em ups have a film made out of them, don't they, for some reason? And what the... Oh God, no! Please, God, no, not that! Please go away, go away! Alright, this film is by no means a great film. This is not a masterpiece. I would say it's a guilty pleasure. You know it's so bad and so wrong on so many levels, but you just can't help but watch it. It's so cheesy and there's no story to talk about. I love the way though she kicks the shit out of these guys. It's hilarious. What bunch of morons. Come on, slap him round the face. Come on, slap him. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I've got to say, if you haven't seen the film, best way of seeing it, have a couple of mates round, have a few beers and have a good laugh. Now, you know they did a volleyball, Dead or Alive? Guess what's in the film? Oh, yep, you got it. Volleyball. And there's just the women playing it. Do you know what? This is probably the highlight of any film I've ever seen. Could watch this for hours. Now, this is the big bad guy, and he is a right twat. Look at that smug git. I'd be as smug as him too if I was there. Now, I really think we should get onto the games, don't you? The original Dead or Alive was released on the Sega Saturn, and I've got to say, playing it now, it's pretty mediocre beat 'em up. It doesn't really stand out amongst the crowd. I'm sorry, it had some good ideas when it came out, but you know, comparatively speaking to what we've got nowadays, it is a very, very dated game. Right, now we come to one of my favourites, the Dreamcast version, Dead or Alive 2. This game was the business, and the analog pad really, really helped with this game. And graphically speaking, it was absolutely brilliant for the time. There was nothing to touch it. All the old virtual fighters around at that time and Tekken's, no, screw yourselves. Didn't have a patch on this game. Especially the special moves. The game was just so damn well done. Oh, I loved the game. I played it to death, and I can wholeheartedly recommend it to anybody out there who hasn't played it. And the Dreamcast one's the one I'd go for. Right, now we're up to the original Xbox. So they've got their own version of Dead or Alive 2. You have to get this crap every time you play at the beginning, you can't skip. Now let's have a quick look at the game. As you can see, it has a fair few options. And to be honest with you, this game really hasn't dated that much. Really, graphically, comparatively speaking to the latest one on the next generation 360 console, it really doesn't look a great deal different. Now, I can tell they do look a little bit more pixelated and squared, and they're not so defined, and yeah, there's minor differences between the two, but comparatively speaking, this is still a nice looking game, and it moves at a very fast rate. My biggest gripe with most of the Dead or Alive is I just wish they'd get somebody to re-edit it and dub it into English or American or some form of dialect which I can understand. I get bored reading text, god damn it, I don't want to play an RPG. That aside, I can't really fault the game. It's still a really nice, really polished off game. To be honest with you, if you haven't played it, I'm telling you lot, you've missed out. I would really rate this game highly, but I've rambled on about enough of the games in the past, so let's focus on the one that I really wanted to look at, shall we? Let's get on to the next generation version of these games. Right, you may be saying to yourself, well, why didn't you review Dead or Alive 3? Well, I thought it was so similar to Dead or Alive 2, it was on the original Xbox, I really didn't see there was any reason to. So let's get on to the one that we really want to see, and the one that I really want to talk about, Dead or Alive 4. Because I think this game is absolutely superb. You have so many options of things to do, so let's get straight to it. Let's have a go on the versus mode, because I would imagine that's what most people, if they were to purchase this game, have an interest in. Now, you can pick your stage, but that's nothing special, is it? Now, let's just have a look at the game. Let's get right down to what I was trying to say. It is a really well done game. Now, I've got a few things which I will nitpick at. Literally, if a character has an attack at you straight away from the get-go, and you can't retaliate, you cannot defend yourself, you're dead, literally. Now look, the first go I was mullered, literally. Within a couple of seconds my game was over. This next one, I beat the shit out of her. Now, here's another one of my favourite characters, and yet again, you've got to move in quick with this game, and unfortunately it doesn't feel like you have a great deal of control over it, because once you've pressed a couple of buttons, the character just seems to go off on a tangent. You can't control them. They just sort of like randomly spin around. It's awkward. The controls, I would say, aren't nearly up there with games like, well, Street Fighter to name one, and Mortal Kombat versus DC. So we won't dwell on that. But this is a slightly different style of gameplay. So to compare them, as I said from the beginning when I did the previous review, I don't really want to compare them to each other, and I'm just falling into that same trap. So all we'll say is the backgrounds are brilliant, you interact with it, graphically it's superb, and you have many, many options. It even has a story mode like Mortal Kombat vs DC and Street Fighter and all the other reputable beat 'em ups, and each one's, you know, giving you a little story, backstory and an ending, which is all very nice, but you expect that kind of thing now. Now, one thing I will say with the story mode is you don't have to keep fighting everybody. You only have to beat them once. You don't have to beat best out of 3, best out of 2, you know, best out of 4 million fights. You just beat the crap out of them once, and then that's enough. You can continue on from that. And every time you lose, you just start right back from where you left off, fight them again and beat them, hopefully, to continue the story mode to get your end sequence. So, all in all, pretty self-explanatory. And very well done as well, I've got to say. Now, also with Versus, there's a tag team battle. So you and a couple of other mates can be tag team mates. So, essentially, it's 4 players. You can go to Zach's shop to customise your own lobby for playing online, which is a very, very good touch. Online play is very good, and you can customise your own character. So, really, they've taken care of most possibly all of the things you would want from a beat-em-up game.
Right, I think I've tried to give you a fair enough analogy of all the Dead or Alive games out there, and what my conclusion is that it really hasn't changed that much. Like the Mortal Kombat series, it's got caught in a rut. Now, it's taken DC characters, added to the Mortal Kombat scene, to give it another facelift and move it with the times. I'm afraid Dead or Alive just hasn't changed that much. You play the latest game, you play the previous one on the previous system, primarily most of the options are the same, the graphics aren't that different, so much as it's a great game, can't really rate it that highly comparatively speaking to its peers, so I'm going to have to go with this rating. So, I hope that doesn't irritate too many people. Well, there you go, I think I've done a relatively good review of that, and I've given you some idea of the background to it, and the film, which, as I said, it'll give you a damn good laugh. Right, that's Starscream signing off, saying take care, and I think I'll end with this song, because I think it's applicable to that movie.